When we talk about sexuality, anthropology and anthropologists recognize that there is a wide spectrum of practices and identities that are performed. And of course, what we label as LGBTQ, and to which we would add asexual and pansexual, may not even be necessarily standing out in some other cultures, but are simply part of who and what they are compared to what we do. Let me explain. When we put a label, LGBTQ, whatever, to one's performance of one's sexual identity, we have created a sense of distance from that person. We made them an other. But in many other societies, in many other cultures, we find that while there are labels for this, the meanings attached to these labels are not the same as what we attribute to our own labels. In this sense, perhaps we can say that for these cultures, they find them more, normal. They are just part of the overall cultural the fabric of which a culture is constructed. And so in this sense, we see a continuum, a spectrum of ways of examining one's identity. And this is what we call cultural relativism, that across many cultures, things like this should be seen in their context. But what lesson can we take from this as anthropologists? And of course, not just as anthropologists, but for people, what can we learn about this? Well, we can learn, for one thing, that while not many people may be comfortable with one's assertion or performance of one's sexual identity, neither is it always a good idea to judge somebody entirely, totally based on that identity. There are many ways in which a person can and should be judged according to standards, not just simply by one's own expression of one's sexual identity or preference. And in that sense, that's how we apply the lessons of cultural relativism of anthropology towards examining what these issues, or using it rather as a lens towards examining the issues that surround the LGBTQ, bisexual, asexual identity issues and performance. Because this lead us to not just simply looking at these things as identities per se, but in a part of a wider context. There's economics involved, there is the matter of politics of power and of identity. And in that sense, then, we have to refrain from judging, but instead stick to understand.